The age of a collaborative global trade and supply chains is collapsing. We are all seeing nations, once bound by strong alliances, retreating into the shadow of self-preservations. The battles for a rare earth, semiconductors, tariffs, and the collapse of trade treaties are now the new normal and not the exceptions. And in this environment, even the most prominent global institutions, such as NATO, the WTO, and the UN, are being forced to reconsider their established frameworks and rules of engagement. My dear friends, sovereignty is defined as the ability to govern oneself without external influence and control. And in this era, where self-preservation dominates the global order, two pillars will be necessary to shape our sovereignty. First, master the resources below our feet. For he who commands his earth commands his sovereignty. Second, master the energy that fuels our rise. For she who owns her fire owns her sovereignty. And it is no coincidence that our ancient Vedas had articulated this truth long before modern geopolitics discovered them. या भूमिया पृथ्वी धनवती तेजः भवति भाग्यवती. Sovereignty belongs to those who commands their earth, and those who command their earth command their energy. Let us look at a contemporary example of what I mean, an example that is relevant to all of you. We live in an era of a narrative colonizations, where the very nations that plundered resources, enslaved continents, and burned fossil fuels for 2 centuries now stand on our moral platforms in our foreign capitals. Many of them now want to dictate the pace and style of Bharat's development. It is quite a paradox that those who heated the planet now want to set the rules for how we must cool the planet. This is the modern narrative. And so, if we do not control our own narrative, our growth will be criminalized, our aspirations delegitimized, and our right to improve our standard of living showcased as a global offense. जो हक हम नहीं मांगेंगे वो हमसे छीना जाएगा. जो हक हम नहीं मांगेंगे वो हमसे छीना जाएगा. जो कहानी हम नहीं लिखेंगे वो हमारे खिलाफ लिखी जाएगी। And this weaponized narrative surfaced at the 2025 COP30, where a report downgraded Bharat sustainability ranking, arguing that our nation lacked a coal exit timeline and continues to auction coal blocks. So let us examine some data points. Yes, Bharat is the world's third largest electricity consumer, but on a per person basis, we consume less than 1400 kilowatt hours a year. That is less than half the global average, 1/10 of America, and a fifth of Europe. Yes, we rank third in total CO2 emitted, but on a per capita basis, our 1.4 billion people emit under 2 tons compared to 14 tons in the US, 9 tons in China, and 6 tons in Europe. And if we speak of a history, the numbers reveal even more. In 200 years of our industrial activity, Bharat has contributed just 4% of our cumulative global emissions against 13% from Europe, 19% from the US, and 20% from China. I share this statistic with you because this is what the battle for the narrative is. Many current ESG models are designed to penalize the developing world. My challenge to you, IITians, is build the models that mathematically account for the energy dignity of our countrymen. Build the algorithms that value the life of a villager getting electricity for the first time as highly as a carbon credit traded in Europe. दुनिया के सारे डेटा को सच मत मानो, सवाल करो. Yet, much of the developed world now expect Bharat to cool the earth. And very remarkably, we are indeed doing that. Earlier this year, Bharat reached a milestone. Over 50% of its installed electricity generation capacity came from non-fossil resources, hitting an important globally agreed number a full 5 years before its target. Under the Paris Agreement, adopted in 2015, that 195 countries had signed, no other major nation has been able to change its energy mix in such a dramatic fashion. The battle of narrative is a relentless. Let me tell you how, through the example of Adani's Carmichael mining project in Queensland, Australia. When we went to Australia, it was not that Bharat lacked coal. What Bharat lacked was a quality coal. The Carmichael mine was born out of this necessity to substitute our local coal with a better grade of imported coal. But little did we know that our Carmichael mine would become one of the most contested energy projects of this century. Global environmental lobbies mobilized against us. Protests were staged across continents. Banks withdrew lending across businesses. We were vilified in our international media, debated in a foreign parliaments, dragged through courtrooms. Every signal was back down, retreat, give up the project. But we did not. Because our Carmichael mine was never a commercial bet. It was a commitment to our nation's energy security. And today, the very same Carmichael mine powers cleaner industrial growth in Bharat and sustains thousands of livelihoods in Australia. As you graduate, you step into a moment of extraordinary promise where the global green energy transitions is emerging as the largest industries of our time, worth several $trillion over the coming decades. It will fuel the rise of electricity-based manufacturing, green steel, green fertilizers, hydrogen ecosystems, and the critical infrastructures that AI and digital economies depends on, which is also why we are investing over 75 billion US dollars in the space of energy transitions over the next 5 years. And your discipline sits at the heart of these transitions, because here is the paradox of our age. To clean the skies, humanity must go under the earth. And the new periodic tables of progress is now dependent on rare earth, without which no magnet turns and no wind turbine spins. Lithium, without which batteries remain empty and EVs remain stationary. Copper, without which electrons lose their highways. Silicon, without which sunlight cannot be harvested. And uranium, without which baseload for our net zero civilizations is a dream. And to me, the most stunning truth of our times is that every AI chips that computes, every hyperscale cloud that connects, and every neural engine that learns all trace their origin back to the depth of Mother Earth. People may call mining the old economy, but what I say is that without you, there is no new economy. And this is why I firmly believe that mining, minerals, and earth sciences are now the new frontiers of sovereignties, sustainability, and Bharat's national capability.